Getting us into the action here in Hell, Norway. The SuperPole will determine the grid lineups for the all-important heats, of which there will be 4 heats, and then championship points awarded to the winner of those 4 heats, then into the semis and the finals. And for those of you that were not with us in Montenegro, Portugal 2 weeks ago, well, it was pure domination from Johan Kristoffersen with a maximum point score. 3 points for winning the heats and then 20 points for winning the opening round of the season. Kevin Hansen was delighted to finally take second position after a tough weekend for the Hansen World RX team. Gronholm was third, Baby, Andersen, Loeb, Timmy Hansen, Gerlain Schischerit, Timo Scheider and Gustav Bergström, who had a really big shunt that kept him out of the contention for the top honours. Now, let's have a close look at this racetrack. Let's introduce our expert analyst, Hal Ridge, who knows more about rallycross than most people out there. This is a fascinating one, Hal. It's short, it's tight, it's technical, and very little room for error.
Yeah, very different track to the opening round of the season in Portugal. It's going to be high grip this weekend as we look at the circuit. Up to the Joker in turn 1. You can use that, but not in the first corner of the rallycross races. That's loose surface section, just as it is climbing back up the hill on this just over 1 kilometre circuit. The elevation changes here are massive. There you see the loose towards the end of the lap. There's a big crest towards the end through the left-hander, and the last corner is critical because you have to get the apex nailed to carry that momentum up the hill, over the finish line and back into the first corner for the second lap.
So we know the track. Let's take a look at the drivers. They go one by one in this one-lap shootout to determine the heat lineups. And first up, it is the young Swedish driver, Gustav Bergström.
The thing with Hell is the track is so tricky, but it's also a lot of fun to drive it.
Gustav Bergström is ready to go here. He's had a couple of weeks of unfortunate crashes, both in and out of World RX, but it's all part of the learning curve for this 20-year-old Swedish driver that is a huge talent. Three World RX podiums in his rookie season of 2022. And this is all about the driver, the car, and one lap, including the Joker. It's all against the clock. Bergström has the all clear. The red light is there, waiting for the green to go.
Bergström launches the Volkswagen away from the starting grid here at the Lankabanen circuit in Hell into the Joker lap section that's used in SuperPole here in Norway. Much higher grip than we've seen in the past at this circuit. A lot of dust decks have been put down onto that very hard-packed surface now, which has changed the grip levels a lot. Look at the Volkswagen skipping around on the brakes down the hill. Bergström well into the brakes for a long time, just keeping the nose of the car in. Drives back up the hill to the fastest point on the circuit into the left-hander, and this is the final corner. It's all about getting the car nice, neat and tidy. We're not scrubbing off 2-speed in this run up the hill to the line.
The Volkswagen RX1e sets the early pace at 43.490 seconds. Bergström will have to wait, watch, and be patient to see how good that is and where it slots him in the grid lineups for our first heat of the day here in Hell. Early pace is set by Bergström. Let's see one of Germany's most famous race drivers next. This is Timo Scheider. Well, not a bad performance at all from Bergström. As we said, 6th in the championship standings for last season. But those 3 podiums make every driver realise that this young lad is a force to be reckoned with. Now let's move on to the second driver in this SuperPole. It is the German ace Timo Scheider.
Well, this track is quite important for the start, for turn one, but then you have a lot of elevation going downhill into the bottom part of the track and the steep uphill section coming back to start-finish. So very tricky, but very nice.
Now, Timo Scheider's got some form from World RX back in 2021. One drive in 2023 in Portugal gave the German driver 9th position in, of course, our brand new all-electric vehicles that are racing in their second season. Scheider has experience from F3, DTM, GT2. We saw him make his World RX debut back in 2015, where he raced in 5 of 9 races. Like many of the newcomers to this all-electric second season, Timo Scheider is learning quickly in the Seat Ibiza RX1e from the allinkle.com Munich Motorsport team. Timo Scheider will rely on his experience. Race is ready. There's the green light, and Scheider is away. First thing that the German driver needs to deal with is straight into that Joker lap.
Keeping the car nice and tidy on the way in. Scheider was at the bottom of the order last time out in Portugal, and that wasn't really a surprise given his lack of experience in these cars compared to the opposition. Didn't do a pre-season test with the All-Inkle squad, and he learned all the way through that weekend. A 10th off Bergström in Sector 1, gets a bit over-rotated on the exit of turn 4 at the bottom of the hill, but carried a lot of speed there. Quicker than Bergström in Sector 2. Runs a bit wide through the left-hander towards the end of the lap. Gets the car nice and tidily into the final corner.
German climbs the hill for the checkered flag. 43.739. Just under a quarter of a second off the pace of Gustav Bergström. Hal, you spotted it perfectly there. Some really nice lines in the mid part of the challenge from the German driver.
Lost out towards the end, didn't he? I wonder if we'll see that in this replay package coming up. Launching these cars is very different to launching the previous internal combustion engine machines. Quite a process to go through, or at least a different process to go through, which takes some thinking about. That's a big part of this SuperPole session. Riding on board with Scheider down at the bottom of the hill. In the brakes, much shorter period of time there than Bergström was, but he ran wide. We just missed it there in the replay package, but he ran wide in the penultimate corner, and I think that's where he lost a couple of attempts that made all the difference with Bergström.
2 down, 8 to go. Let's go to the French driver, Guerlain Chicherit.
I love this track. This track is really up and down, and especially the start with this long curve on the hill to especially to fight at the start is really special. All the way to go down, and with the long right hairpin, it's to find the right speed and to keep your position is not easy. And also at the not really the end, but the long left gravel corners is also really hard to find the speed. So it's a technical track. Love it.
Guerlain Chicherit, who is the genius behind the creation of the Special One Racing team. The Lancia Delta Evo ERX. The Lancia Delta races once again at the highest level, the FIA World Rallycross Championship, and he's also convinced his great buddy Sebastian Loeb to make up this two-man team. Chicherit will be first out. The French world champion skier is also pretty quick in the car. Now for Guerlain, the target is to improve on his 8th position in the season opener in Montalegre, Portugal, just a couple of weeks ago. There is no question, Chicherit, if he can find the confidence and his A-game here in Hell, Norway, could be one of the spoilers in the pack here over the next 48 hours. And this is where it all starts for the French driver. Light is red, ready to race. And there is the green and the call for Guerlain Chicherit.
This track, in my opinion, should suit this Lancia Delta Evo ERX much better than Montalegre in Portugal did a couple of weeks ago. They're working hard on the development of this unique machine. Chicherit gets the car stopped for turn 2. Bit of rotation on the way in. He's dropped a couple of tenths to Scheider, and he's 3 tenths down on Bergstrom in the first part of the lap. Second sector coming up as he drives out of the bottommost corner of the hill. He's some half a second down on Scheider's best middle sector, but nice, neat and tidy towards the end. Wide into the final corner, comes back to the apex on the exit and driving to the line.
Shisharit takes the clock at 44.833 seconds for the one lap. Kind of lost it at the start, didn't he, where he was over 3 tenths off the pace going into that first sector, Hal.
Looking back at the start, this is all an exploratory mission for the Special One racing team at these circuits. They only competed in the final round of last year and then have come back with a fantastic 2-car effort for the start of 2023, but the track knowledge the other teams will have gained by competing at these venues last year will be so valuable, especially in these single lap shootouts.
Up next is the 2019 FIA World Rallycross champion, looking to make amends for a disappointing weekend in the season opener, Timmy Hansen.
All right, let's go, SuperPole. Gotta send it up there in the Joker, one of the best corners on the calendar if you ask me, but then gotta keep it neat and tidy through these tarmac hairpins, put every corner right, and then in the end hope the time is good.
Fantastic attention to detail from Timmy Hansen there. 13 times a World Rallycross winner, 44 times on the podium. There's only 7 corners at the Lankabanen racetrack here in Hell, Norway. Very little room for error. And as Hansen just told us in his pre-race clip there, attention to detail is absolutely key to success here, particularly when you're out there on your own. He drives the Peugeot 208 RX1e, part of the Hansen World RX team. But all of his fans so disappointed to see him down in 7th position. And here's a chance now for Timmy Hansen to get his 2023 tour back on track. Start Marshal is happy. Bergstrom sets the early pace at 43.490 seconds. Many of us would expect Hansen to go top here. Red light, ready to race. And away goes Timmy Hansen.
This SuperPole session run in championship order from the previous round, and of course Timmy Hansen came together with his brother in the semi-final and didn't make it through to the final, so that's why Timmy's arguably out of position. Across the era of SuperPole from the start of last year, he's been the most consistent regular challenger from a different team to Johan Kristoffersen. He's not as fast though as Gustav Bergstrom in sector 1, a few hundredths behind. He's again not as fast as Bergstrom in sector 2. This isn't going to be enough, Nick, to challenge the top of the order.
Bergstrom leads. Timmy Hansen needs to find something very special, and I have to say that will be a disappointment. Finally gets it together, 700ths quicker in the 3rd split time interval, but it's the total time that will disappoint Timmy Hansen, 44.112 seconds. That's not what Timmy was hoping for in SuperPole today.
8 tenths of a second slower than the fastest driver through sector 2 so far in Timo Scheider. I'd be surprised if there was a time management game going on now, but where I didn't really see where he may have lost the time. This is Timmy Hansen. He gets crossed up on the entry. We didn't see that in the footage. Gets crossed up on the entry, just lost that bit of time, and he is 3rd at the moment.
Bergstrom holds top position. Next up is Sebastian Loeb.
Yes, this track is not the easiest one because you have a lot of different rhythm to adopt, and especially in the rubble section you need to keep a lot of speed but not to be off the line, and that's what we need to do today.
The 9 times World Rally champion with 80 wins against his name has made a welcomed return to the FIA World Rallycross Championship. He's won twice before with 15 podiums in his 2 years of World Rallycross. One of those podiums coming right here at the Lankabanen racetrack in Hell in Norway. That was 2017 when Johan Kristoffersen was at the top of the table. Loeb knows it's work in progress, but there's nobody better out there than to develop this really exciting Lancia Delta Evo E RX. Lights are red. and Loeb is away on the green light.
The Frenchman hustled the Lancia Delta around all of the Portuguese weekend. I love the undulations into the first corner here in Norway. You can see the Lancia moving around. Loeb neat and tidy through the Joker section. The track a bit different to what he maybe expected with the gravel this weekend. He's just shy of that opening sector time of Gustav Bergström. Gets the car nicely tucked in to the curb at the bottom of the hill. Sebastian Loeb is again away from the best time in sector 2, but not by much behind Timo Scheider. And he looks good through the final couple of corners. Bit of understeer mid-corner, gets back to the curb now, driving for the line.
And yes, he's just missed it. Bergström will be absolutely delighted to have seen one of his heroes. Oh, confirmation that he's there. My apologies. 43.466. Loeb goes top of the table.
Loeb goes top. The graphic in the bottom right of the screen indicates the difference in the sectors, but because Loeb had that difference is to the fastest time so far, not the fastest of each sector. So Loeb was consistently very good there, whereas previously the sector times have been split between 3 different drivers in peak best of each of those sectors. Loeb, being a rally man, super consistent, great at reading the road, and did a good job.
Yeah, Loeb goes top of the table at the halfway point of this SuperPole competition. Clean, superb execution from the Frenchman to set the new target time. Next up is Clara Anderson.
Great memories from Norway last year, cool track, amazing fans, a lot of elevation, and now we get focused for SuperPole.
Well, many of you remember Clara Anderson started her rookie season right here in Norway this time last year, and in her first ever fully electric World RX competition she took off a final and finished in 4th position. That season she claimed a place on the podium, and I think it's fair to say Clara Anderson is now firmly established as a world-class driver on this series. Part of the PWR RX1e construction equipment dealer team, and that PWR has been worked on hard over the summer. It's quicker, it's faster, and Clara Anderson knows exactly how to drive it. Clara Anderson once again trying to beat her great hero Sebastian Loeb in SuperPole.
Anderson coming here with so much more experience under her belt than 12 months ago for the first ever all-electric weekend of World RX. Then she was 6th of 8 in the SuperPole order. Now she's much, much more competitive. Sector 1 in the bag. She's a 10th of a second behind Loeb. And the best opening sector set by Bergström so far. Gritted teeth for Clara Anderson through the middle part of the lap. She's a couple of tenths off the best sector in sector 2, but we know Loeb was super consistent, and Allison's there or thereabouts with him.
Yeah, the lights are red on the 2 sector times. She climbs the hill, takes the checkered flag. Clara Anderson drops into 3rd position. Loeb stays top of the table. Target time remains at 43.466. Clara Anderson there confirmed in 3rd spot.
Less than a tenth of a second behind Loeb though, so it's competitive, isn't it? Fantastic to have the Lancia, the Volkswagen, the PWR, and then the Seat Ibiza from Orlinkel, all within a tenth and a half in this SuperPole session with only a few drivers to go. Good run from Anderson.
Next up is the Norwegian driver looking to keep the home crowd on the tip of their toes, Ole Christian Veiby.
The track in Hell is really special for me. Home track in Norway, a lot of fans from Norway also, so that's a super cool thing to go there and race.
Well, Ole Veiby was 3rd in this race last year, much to the delight of the local Norwegian fans here in Hell, Norway. And Veiby went on to record a sensational, 5 podiums from 10 races on the 2022 tour, but he's yet to win one. And that is something that is firmly in the eyes, in the focus of Veiby for this new season. 3rd position for Veiby in the season opener in Portugal. Now, in the Volkswagen, RX1e. First part of the weekend's challenge for Baby is to try and topple Loeb from the top of the table in this SuperPole and put the heat on his teammate Kristoffersson.
Baby has arguably the best opportunity every weekend to take it to Johan Kristoffersson because he's the only driver, along with Bergström, with identical equipment. And there we go. Ole Christian Baby sends the Volkswagen into the Joker lap section. He and his teammate Kristoffersson had a bet with each other about who could be the most sendy in the first free practice session yesterday, and Kristoffersson won that. Baby fastest through sector 1 at 15.8 through the bottom part of the circuit, now up to the fastest point of the lap, into braking for the left-hander. He's not as quick as Timo Scheider through sector 2. That was some time through sector 2 by Scheider. Baby climbs the hill, driving to the line.
Baby takes the checkered flag. Oh, Baby's done it. 43.231. Just shy of a quarter of a second faster of Sebastian Loeb, now dropping down into second. Bergström into third position, Anderson 4.
A good run from Baby, but interestingly, the times are closer than they were in Portugal last time out. Baby doesn't have the sort of advantage over the next best car that he had. We'll see what Kristoffersson can do in the same machinery in just a few minutes' time.
New target time, new leader, 3 left to challenge. Next up, the winner here back in 2019. It's Niklas Grönholm.
We're in Norway on a beautiful track up in the mountains with a lot of elevation difference and a nice joker lap.
7 times an FIA World Rallycross winner, part of the construction equipment dealer team driving the PWR RX1e. Grönholm kick-started the season in style with a good podium performance in third behind Kevin Hansen and Johan Kristoffersson. And I think the game plan for the Flying Finn here right now is literally to pick it up where he left off. This could be one of the drivers that could stop Kristoffersson's winning run.
I love seeing drivers get themselves psyched up. Niklas Grönholm working on his mental approach with his mental coach this weekend, and that's a great indication as to how he's using that to get himself ready for this SuperPole session.
Literally beating the adrenaline to its peak. Grönholm is definitely ready to race here. Target time, 43.231. Light is red, wait for the green. And Niklas Grönholm is away.
Driving to the line. You can choose any line you want when you're on your own. It won't be the same when we go racing later on into the brakes for the Joker lap section. Nice, neat and tidy for Niklas Grönholm as he drives back down the hill. You just don't see the undulation of the circuit on the TV screens, but it is steep downhill there in Lankabanen. Grönholm some 0.3 of a second behind Baby in sector 1, riding on board in the PWR, climbing the hill again over the loose surface section. He's 0.4 down on Scheider's best in sector 2, a bit sideways through the left-hander, gets it nicely to the curb though into the final corner.
Good strong finish from Grönholm. Watch the clock, 43.979. Grönholm drops into 6th position. Clara Anderson is the best of the construction equipment dealer team drivers. Got a funny feeling Grönholm will be just a little disappointed with that, Hal.
Yeah, absolutely. His focus is trying to challenge for the title this year, isn't it? And starting 6th in SuperPole with still 2 cars to go isn't what he would want at all. See him on the handbrake through the Joker section. The rear wheel's locked. Down at the bottom of the hill, got sideways on the exit. There's so much grip there, it's very hard to get the car rotated compared to previously when it was such loose gravel. Drove to the line, didn't set as fastest sector throughout, and Anderson has best of the PWR runners.
Next up is Kevin Hansen, still smiling after his runner-up position in Portugal 2 weeks ago.
Super tricky start to the lap with the bumps into turn 1, and then really a tarmac section coming after that, and ending the lap, these gravel parts, having to get all the braking points just perfect, and ending the lap up that hill, crossing the line is a really cool feeling.
The 25-year-old younger brother to Timmy Hansen, part of the Hansen World RX team, drives a Peugeot 208 RX1e. Now, Kevin Hansen, again, looking to show that skill and racecraft that he demonstrated so well in Montenegro, Portugal, with the team struggling to find the pace of the car. For me, it was the driver skill of Kevin Hansen that brought him that podium performance in the season opener. This is where round 2 of 10 begins now for Kevin Hansen. Looking to take the lead away from Veiby, looking to put the pressure on Johan Kristoffersen, who will be our last driver on track in SuperPole. The light is green and Kevin Hansen is away.
Staring forward, the young Swede, as he launches the 208 RX1e away from the line. Look at the rear wheels leaving the ground for those undulations in the opening corner. Now driving down the hill, locks the outside rear down the hill into this left-hander. First sector time is some 2 tenths off Veiby. Locks the inside rear again down at the bottom of the hill, rotates to the Peugeot 208 a lot, but gets nicely straight for the exit, driving up the hill over this crest. It's totally blind when you're in the car. Through the left hand, he's run a bit wide into the loose gravel, gets the car squared up into the final corner to drive up the hill to the finish line jump.
Kevin Hansen takes the checkered flag, 43.629. Just under 4 tenths of a second off the pace of OC Veiby, the Norwegian leader, going into 5th position. Kevin Hansen confirmed in 5th spot.
There was no major mistakes from Hansen through that lap. Maybe a little bit. Look at the rear wheels of the Peugeot 208 leaving the ground there into the first corner. Fantastic replay shots. Kevin talking to himself as he goes around. It's all just the sort of thing you do when you're not thinking about your facial expression, too busy concentrating on the road ahead. Fascinating order at the minute. Loeb, Bergström and Anderson behind Veiby. It's close this year, isn't it? There is a very competitive field.
And last but by no means least, it is the defending world champion, unbeaten in SuperPole, Johan Kristoffersen.
Off the start line into the jockey lap, which is quite tricky. If you want to send it really, really wide, you can gain a lot of time, but with high risks. From there on, a little bit action down to the bottom end of the track. From there on, quite tricky second last corner, and you can gain a lot of time on the last corner if you nail that exit.
The most successful rallycross racer of the current generation, recording his 36th win in the season opener in Montenegro, Portugal, just a couple of weeks ago. Kristoffersen is the favourite. No team rules at all. His partner from the KMS team, Veiby, sets the target time at 43.231 seconds. And away goes Johan Kristoffersen in the VW Polo, opting to go far out wide for his launch out.
Yeah, chooses grid slot 5 for his run down to the first corner. Most drivers have gone for grid slot number 4 in this SuperPole session. He's about to cross the first sector split, and he's marginally slower than teammate OC Veiby by over 1/10 of a second in the opening sector. 1.2 seconds over Timmy Hansen was the margin Kristoffersen had in Portugal last time out. Half a second over his teammate, but he's gone quicker in sector 2 by a couple of tenths. It's all about this final corner. There is not going to be much in it.
Watch that checker flag, watch the clock, and he's there again! 43.122. He's beaten Veiby. He goes top of the table, and the unbeaten SuperPole record stands again. Brilliant drive from Kristoffersen. Hal, I'm not sure that outside choice of P5, because he was a little off the pace in the first sector split time, but the rest was just sheer joy.
Yeah, didn't quite have the opening sector, did he, as you say, Nick? But for me, brilliant. The first 8 cars, the first 9 cars are within the same second. Last time out, Johan Kristoffersen was 1.2 seconds quicker than the next different team. This is going to be close racing this weekend. Again, Kristoffersen fastest, but he hasn't had it easy, and that's brilliant for us. Here is OC Veiby going to congratulate him. A wry smile. OC will be a bit disappointed with that, because of course you want to beat your illustrious teammate head-to-head.
Spectacular driving from Johan Kristoffersen. This is exactly how he started in Montenegro, Portugal, a couple of weeks ago with that win in SuperPole, then took all of the heats, and it could be a repeat performance in hell this weekend. Let's go down to Molly and hear more.
Well, Johan, you couldn't just give it to him, could you, just because it's his birthday, right?
No, but yeah, he gave me a tough competition there, and yeah, I saw it was very, very difficult conditions out there. It was so easy to make a mistake, and it's difficult to go out there and push everything, and because if you make a mistake, you lose so much time. So I was safe-ish, but still did some mistakes, so I think no one had a really clean lap.
Tell us a bit about the secret behind this. I mean, your SuperPole in Portugal was astonishing. You've taken it again here today. I know how much attention you pay to detail.
Yeah, it is also that, but also that when you put everything online, and you definitely feel the pressure because it's important for the race weekend. Even though there's no points handed out for SuperPole, it's set off your weekend in a little bit easier way. Even though it's tricky to start from the inside here, but it's always best to be inside. But yeah, I don't know, it's also a lot of pressure inside the head that you need to make that lap when it counts.
Well done.
Thank you.
Fabulous interview with Johan Kristoffersson there. Won this race last year and is the firm favourite to do it again here today. Exceptional driving from Kristoffersson. But as Hal pointed out at the end of our commentary spot there, if we take a look at the results, look how close they all are. And this is the perfect example of how tight the racing is going to be this weekend here in Hell in Norway. Kristoffersson is at the top, just a 10th clear of Veiby, Loeb, Bergström, Andersen, Hansen, Scheider, Gronholm. Timmy Hansen will be a little frustrated, but he's only just under a second off the pace of Kristoffersson. So little room for error on this fantastic racetrack here today.